Hello, and welcome to a Q&A live stream talking about the stock market. I forgot what I'm going to say there. Not done one of these for a while on the main YouTube channel. Well, I hope it's gone out on the main YouTube channel. And yeah, normally I only kind of do live streams now, live Q&A sessions on the Patreon, but I was kind of thinking, what video shall I do today? And I thought, you know what, we hadn't done a live Q&A for ages on the main channel. We used to do them like every time we got to 10,000 subscribers or something, but yeah, stopped doing them for some reason. But I thought, you know what? I was trying to think of a video idea today. There was a lot I was thinking about doing, and I thought, you know what? Let's just jump on the live stream for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. I don't think there'll be many people that join. I think a few people might be busy with the Friday nights and doing something a lot better than sitting and watching me on YouTube talking about the stock market. But you know what? I thought, let's sit down, let's talk about some stocks for a little bit if anyone wants to talk about some stocks, and then I'll get gone. But yeah, what kind of videos do you want on? I don't normally do videos on Saturday and Sunday, but I might do. Um, what videos do you want to see this weekend? I was thinking about maybe doing a video on DraftKings because it's my biggest position in the stock market and I never talk about it. So I was thinking about maybe doing an update on DraftKings because there's been some really good news with DraftKings recently over the last kind of few days. So maybe I can do a video on DraftKings. I was thinking about maybe doing an update in Corsair. I was also thinking about doing one about Turtle Beach. And I was also thinking about doing a video on Planet 13 because their earnings came out last night. And yeah, they were really good. So yeah, just put in the comments what you kind of what you want to see, and if there's anything in particular, I'll do that one on Saturday. Or if there's two popular ones, I'll do one on Saturday and one on Sunday if I have time. But yeah, I'll try do that anyway. But we'll see. We'll see. It looks like there's a few of you joining anyway, so I'll try fly through a few questions if there is any, and if there's not, I'll go away after a few minutes. Um, Let me just have a look here. I always forget how to work this. Okay. Is the camera all right, by the way? Is the sound all right? I hope it's all okay. Hello again, Jay. Cody, you are always here. You are always here. Yeah, the nuts, aren't there? I think that could be like the Halloween costume of the year. I think a few people will go around in a few Tesla bots. G-Ran's always on the videos as well. Chinese stocks, ADR, and IPO issues video. Yeah, potentially. To be honest with you, it doesn't really bother me. It's not really anything that I'm really worried about, to be fair. I think a lot of the Chinese stocks are good buying opportunities, and yeah, I'm happy with it. ADRs have never really bothered me. I know a few people make a big deal out of it, but personally, I've never been too bothered. I think it says a lot as well when Alibaba themselves are, buying back their own shares as well. The IPO issues, yeah, I saw today they were on about big data companies and maybe not letting them list in the US again going forward. So yeah, we'll see what happens about that. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't really bother my Alibaba shares, I don't think. So yeah. Yeah, there's always been, generally since Alibaba came in the stock market since 2014. There's always been like delisting fears, like, oh yeah, Alibaba's going to delist, but it's never followed through, and I don't think it'll follow through. The thing is, worst case scenario, if there was delisting for like Alibaba, then they would go probably to the Hong Kong listing, and you get your shares converted, or they would go to over the counters in the US side of it. So it won't really cause too many problems. Probably when the news would come out, you'd probably see a slump in the share price, but it won't worry me too much, to be fair. But yeah, there's always been that negativity towards China out there. So we've got Rob joining us. What is my Alibaba game plan? Probably, when Alibaba always dips, I go, you know what? I'll hold this. I'll hold a lot of shares for like a long period of time, like I normally do. I try and hold them for like 2 to 5 years. And I always think, you know what, I'll hold them for 2 to 5 years, even if they keep going up and up and up, because I think he's a great company. But the problem I always realize with like Alibaba shares is there's always that negativity and that downwards pressure of like the US media. And they always try and do it, but just sometimes it gets louder and louder. And right now it's like one of the loudest it's been for probably like the last kind of 3 years, I guess. So yeah, I always think about really holding them like 2 to 5 years, but realistically, I always when I started going up on Alibaba, like a good like 50 80, 100%, I do start thinking it only takes the US media to kind of turn back on these companies and they drop again. And that's what's happened previously. So more than likely, what my overall, without blabbering on too much, but what I probably would do is I would probably look to sell Alibaba um, when it's about 320 to 350, and that would be at least half my position, if not the full position, but definitely half the position. So yeah. DraftKings. Okay, we've got to vote for the DraftKings. Oh crap! I've just skipped past a lot of questions here. Uh, Cody, I have no idea what you're saying now for, but yeah, okay. EV stocks. Wow, I've not talked about EV stocks for a long time. Um, yeah, I own Tesla. I'm always a big fan of Tesla. I mean, a few people play Neo. I mean, I don't mind if you play Neo. I think it's a very good company, and I think they probably will go on to dominate probably most of the Chinese market. Um, After that, I'm not too really sure on any of the other ones. The other kind of EV play that I do like, which isn't a car, it's the electric scooters, which is not Neo, but New, I think it is, like NIU, I believe it is. So those are probably that's actually probably the one that I look at probably after Tesla and Neo. So yeah, Planet 13 though, okay. Rolls Royce was there. Rolls Royce, yeah. You know what? I literally had. I must have been about 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, I had like a quite a deep look back into Rolls Royce, and I had a good think about it for like 2 weeks, thinking should I go for it? And every time I kept thinking, should I go for it? I just keep looking at that balance sheet, and I was like, it's just awful. It's just an awful balance sheet. Like the debt just makes me so nervous. You know, when I buy companies, sometimes what I like to do is I always go worst case scenario. You know, what worst case scenario? What happens to this company? And I look at Rolls Royce. What's the worst case scenario? What happens if in wintertime the cases start spiking up? What happens if there's a new variant that the vaccine can't handle? We would have a lot of problems, and the world economy once again would have a lot of problems. What is the one industry you would not want to be in? What Rolls Royce is in, and when you've kind of got a balance sheet that Rolls Royce has, I always think, oh, it would be very ugly for Rolls Royce, as well as other companies like Jet2 and National Express, for example. But I always think worst case scenario, and I think I just can't. Like I really thought about it because if at these sort of prices, if Rolls Royce do turn it around, which they look like they are going to do, you're going to get some really good share gains on it. But my problem is I always have that little voice in my head that goes, "But what if?" And it just yeah, it won't be great. So yeah, I'm still not sold on Rolls Royce at the moment. I won't blame you for taking a punt on it. Put it this way: if you bought Rolls Royce, I won't shout at you. I'd go, okay, but at the same time, I'd be like, I hope it works out for you. So yeah, I'm still not sure on that one. It's definitely a lot better than where it was kind of 6, 12 months ago. Wizz Air, I like Wizz Air. Wizz Air would probably be Jet2, Wizz Air. They're the two best UK airlines for me. Personally, I don't want to own Jet2 and Wizz Air because of that situation. What is the worst case scenario that happens? And yeah, it won't be great. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm at with them too. Hopefully that was a good enough answer. Wondering if Planet 13 is a better bet than China. Well, depends if you like Chinese stocks, I guess. But yeah, big fan of Planet 13. Um, oh, good. Imagine if I got this far in 10 minutes in and then everyone's like, yeah, we can't hear you. Tobio, evening. We've got Daz joining us. Hey, Jesse joining us. How are you doing? Um, I've been checking very good food. Get very good food. They're doing quite well, aren't they, at the moment? Still struggling with valuation though. Um, Maybe do a roundup of Chinese stocks. Yeah, potentially, potentially. They're the ones that are kind of interesting at the moment. They're the kind of one that everyone's kind of talking about, aren't they? I mean, obviously the ones that I kind of focus on are like Alibaba. I haven't really bought JD.com, but obviously I own it, and obviously eHang. But I always forget I own eHang because in my back of my head I'm like, it's locked away for 5 years, so I always forget to really mention it. But I guess like Alibaba, JD.com, who yeah, those are the three that I'm interested in. I see a few people trying to play Tencent as well. I'm a big Tencent fan, but I don't own it myself. I think a few people are trying to play Nintendo, and Baidu. Baidu is actually quite interesting. A few people trying to play that one at the moment. Have I missed JK out on skills? I've not actually talked about skills at the moment, or so far on the stream, but yeah, it could be worth a video at some point. Not really been buying any skills at the moment. I just feel like it's one of those stocks that are out of favor, and at the moment, there's just a bit of negativity around it. Ever since that short report came out, it's just um, yeah, it's just kind of really damaged it. And it's unfair because you look at the short report, and one of the big claims was that Q1 was weak and they were struggling for like revenue growth. And then you look at the last 2 quarters and revenue growth had been over like 100%. And it's like, it's just rubbish how stuff like that happens. Like they're allowed to bring reports out like that affect the share price, and a lot of them have lies in, and then there's no consequences for them that brought the report out. But for us as shareholders, obviously, it damages us big time. And yeah, I'm still a big fan of skills in long term. I personally think my kind of thinking at the moment is that if skills actually stays around where the price is right now, and it stays here for probably another kind of 12-24 months, even if the share price doesn't do anything, I think they'll actually get bought out. And I think that's what will happen with skills in potentially the next 12-24 months. And obviously, that's not guaranteed, but I think that's what would happen if the share price doesn't actually perform. So yeah, I'm still a big fan of it. I'm still holding it massive. So yeah. Much do you reckon here will be bought out, or even if it will? Here, Turtle Beach. Turtle Beach for me, I was actually just talking about it on the Discord on Patreon. It looks like they are going to get bought out. I'm kind of thinking Don Rail, I think it is, who they're kind of having this like public. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's literally like statement after statement arguing with each other, like, yeah, we put a bid in, and then Turtle Beach, like, yeah, but you haven't got the funds. And then they're like, we have got the funds, but we don't need to show them to you yet, and stuff like that. They're having a right argument. But I actually think they're kind of doing it tactically to like get Turtle Beach to come out publicly and say, look, we would sell it to you if you kind of prove that you have the funds. I think they're actually playing it really clever and like showing like Turtle Beach is up for sale to try and get other buyers in. And it looks like there is other buyers coming in from it for it now. So yeah, I do believe Turtle Beach will be bought out. I was just saying on the Discord, I believe they'll actually get bought out this year. Where they get bought out for, we'll see what happens. My average is $20 on Turtle Beach. I think they could potentially get bought out for $40 at least, or hopefully a bit more than that. I think from today's prices, that would be about a 50% premium, which I'd be quite happy with. If management are able to get like a 75 to 100% premium on the buyout, that would be amazing. But if they were to take a 50% premium, I'd be okay with that. It looks like it's another gaming company coming in for them. So instantly, I'm kind of thinking, well, that could be Logitech, it could be Corsair, or it could be Razer. I don't know about Razer. I couldn't see it being Razer because they like to have their own Razer only platform. So it could be Corsair, and it could be Logitech, I think. So we'll see what happens. Not particularly bothered who it would be. I mean, it'd be cool to be Corsair because then obviously I already own that one, I guess. But yeah, if it was to get sold out for $40 or plus, I'd be really happy with that. And yeah, that would be 100% return in a year, which would be absolutely amazing. Another 100% return on that one. And yeah, depending who would buy it, if it was Corsair, if if it was a Corsair buyout, I probably would say they would pay in stock. So I'd probably get my shares converted to Corsair. This is all, up in the air. Like I'm not saying this is guaranteed, but if it was Corsair, I reckon it'd probably be stock. So I'll probably get stock for that, which I'd be happy with. Because obviously I own Corsair. And for me personally, it would actually be quite good because it would suit my portfolio. Because at the moment I actually have, Turtle Beach and Corsair. And to have two kind of gaming companies is a bit too much. I don't like having two companies in the same sector. I only like having one company in the same sector. I just think they're both incredibly undervalued. So if Turtle Beach was to get sold out, it would suit my portfolio because then I only have Corsair, and I would be quite happy with that one. And to be honest with you, my plan with Turtle Beach was always to kind of sell it in Q1, Q2, 2022. So it would time perfect. So yeah, Sheriff, we're not having any of this tonight. I am fuming. I'm not talking about it. um, no, I'm not. I am the biggest meat eater you will ever see. Ifrim, I don't really touch Robin and Boohoo long term. I'm actually currently debating Boohoo a little bit in my head at the moment. I always like quite often. I always think about stocks pretty much most of the day, and there's always a company I'm kind of thinking about and what's next for them. I've actually been having to think about Boohoo quite a bit recently, and I think Boohoo at the moment hasn't really done anything for a long time. And the one thing that I'm kind of starting to notice with Boohoo is that the amount of people that are starting to say that it is that I'm noticing that are kind of going against Boohoo a little bit with obviously everything that's happened with the Leicester factory situation, and also like this fast fashion and people trying to avoid using companies that are fast fashion, I guess. And also with the rise of there's another company, is it a Chinese company? Is it Shen? I believe it is. Or is it Sheen? Is that how you say it? I think you probably know who I'm trying to say, but I think that could be a quite a bit of a competitor to Boohoo as well. So I'm just kind of watching Boohoo and kind of thinking, okay, are they losing a bit of the younger generation? Are they losing a bit of market share? And that's something that I'm actually keeping an eye out for at the moment. Financially they're still pretty strong. Like the last quarters of revenue have still been pretty good. Um, so yeah, I think as well it's like the guidance is 25% revenue growth, and they've acquired Debenhams as well. And I was kind of hoping Boohoo would still put in 30+% of revenue growth as well, especially with like the Debenham purchase. So yeah, Boohoo at the moment is a stock that I'm watching very closely over the next 6 months. And I am starting to question Boohoo a little bit, but I'll probably know a little bit more after a couple of earnings, and I'll go from there. But yeah, I'm still holding my shares, but it's one that I am kind of keeping a closer eye on. So yeah, it's a good question that. Um, sorry, where am I? I don't want to skip people's questions. I feel really harsh if I skip to the newest ones. Planet 13 sounds awesome. Let's see a video about it. Telos ticker TLS. They have been running up a good quarter. Cybersecurity company, US government. Ah, that sounds pretty cool. Let me just write that down. I'll have a look at that one a little bit later. This is the book where I put stocks down to look at later. I go through about probably at least 20 a day. So I'll take a look at that one, Christian. Thank you. But yeah, Planet 13 is awesome. I always compare it to like the Hollywood Bowl of the. I have to be very careful here because of YouTube monetization. The MJ Hollywood Bowl version, should I say? So I think it has a lot of potential. Have you ever seen the stars? I never thought about this until I like saw the read the earnings report last night for Planet 13, and they were like, you know how good our company is. Our stores look that amazing that people come to our stores and like they just take loads of photos and then they upload it to like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and people go, whoa, that store looks absolutely amazing, I want to go there. And yeah, they get floods of people in because how good looking their stores are, and they're pretty much getting like free advertising through like social media, and people like, this store looks absolutely amazing, I want to go there. And I thought, I've never actually really thought about that. Like obviously the stores look so cool, but they're actually that cool that people are sharing them on social media and getting like free. It's basically free. Good. What is my average price on skills? I think it is $13 at the moment. Not 100% sure, but I think it's $13. In mode still a buy. Oh, that's a tricky question. It's always tricky when you're up. I think I'm up. I think I'm up like 280% on in mode now. Realistically, with in mode, if you ask me in the next 5 years, is in mode going to be higher than where it is? I would say yes. So in that case, I would say it is a buy. The tricky thing is, obviously, it was a better buy a couple of months ago, but realistically, is it still a buy? Yeah, because I think it will be higher than where it is in the next 5 years. It just comes to, do you think you can find a stock that will outperform it? That's a trickier question. But will it be higher than where it is in right now in the next few years? Yeah. So I guess it's a buy. Yeah. It's a great company. What are my thoughts on Corsair? Yeah, I still own it, Alex. I'm a big fan of it. Good company. Yeah, cheap valuation. So many new products coming in. Growing profit at a good rate, growing revenue at a good rate. So yeah. I'll be honest, I've not looked into them that much. But yeah, I've heard the technology is coming on quite a bit, and a few people. I think Porsche is the other one as well. People considering as an EV play now. So yeah, I've heard good things about it, but yeah, I don't know too much about it myself. I'd not probably not fair for me to comment on it too much because it's one of those I don't know. Ah, cool. I'll have to have another look, but I think last time I looked, it was still the valuation side of it that I went, oh, but yeah. Um, well done, 11K subscribers. Ah, thanks. Yeah. I think 15 is probably the next big one, I guess. Um, EV Tesla, but Xpeng interesting. I've heard a lot about Xpeng. I think the big thing that always put me off that is like they brought out when they came public, they put their investor. I think it was these guys. I might be talking about the wrong company, but I think they brought the investor presentation out, and I think within like the first like 3 or 6 months, it was obviously it was very clear that they weren't going to hit the numbers in the investor presentation. And it was like, oh, that's not good. If you come onto the stock market and you hype up your investor presentation and then you're struggling to hit the numbers on that presentation within the first 3 or 6 months, it's a slippery slope from there. So yeah, that's from there. I never really got interested in that company, and I think the valuation was going up and up as well on that one. But it's been a while since I looked into it, and I might be even on about the wrong company to be fair. So this is why I don't like to talk too much about companies that I'm not really too much on because I might be just talking a load of rubbish. Someone on this chat might know more about it and be like, no, it's wrong company. You're an idiot. So, Airbnb, big fan, big fan. Um, Unique business model. Very hard for someone to copy it. I think obviously you got like the likes of booking.com and everything like that, but I think it just has that unique difference to them. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Airbnb, and I think it's a very unique business model they do have, and it would be very hard for someone to come in and take a bit of share off them, I guess. Obviously, revenue growth is fantastic, coming off a CV boom as well, I guess, in the economy. Um, Profit, they're not losing too much money now, which is also good. I believe they've got a pretty strong balance sheet, if I remember correctly. The big thing for me that I've always struggled with Airbnb is evaluation. You give me a bit of a cheaper valuation on that one, I would buy it for sure. But I just haven't got around the valuation. So yeah, it's on my watch list, and if it ever comes to the right valuations, you'll see me buy it. I can't even remember what it's at now. Is it like $130 ish? Yeah, I'm trying to go off numbers off the top of my head. I think it's something around there. So yeah, I think last time I looked, it would have to go to $80, which shows you how far it is off me buying, I guess. But yeah, George says he agrees with the debt. Yeah, it's just too much. Um, you see, I don't know VW that well, so I would not know that. Very interesting to hear that. Baidu, I like it. My problem is that I've always preferred to go with the companies that have a bit more growth than Baidu. That's what I've always kind of gone with. Not that Baidu has bad growth, it's just that compared to like Alibaba, for example, and JD.com, I've always preferred to go for them. And I'd probably even go Tencent over it as well. But I would not blame you for buying that one. So yeah. Josh says, I don't seem interested in the FTSE mining companies. Why not? I hold Rio Tinto. I generally don't touch mining companies. It's always been a rule. I never buy mining companies because there's a few reasons why. First of all, I know zero about mining companies. I'm willing to learn a lot of things, but mining companies I know nothing about. So by the time I actually go to learn about mining companies and have a good understanding, I could have spent that time looking at probably another 50 stocks in areas that I'm more comfortable with and investing in. And because I have knowledge in that area, I'll probably be able to get better returns in. And also, I always feel like they're very volatile companies as well. Like there can be some news that really um, changes things very quickly for mining companies, and potential profit and revenue that can change. And that's also another reason why I've never touched them. So just never been an area for me really. So there's a few reasons why. Those are kind of the main ones anyway. Um, Rob says, I read through Etoro earnings. I thought they were a mixed bag with them stating growth was slowing. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I always was aware that the thing is with the thing is with like eToro, and the same goes for like Robinhood and Coinbase, is that their growth is going to be just so volatile because it depends what's kind of going on. Like if we have a stock market that literally, if we have crypto that booms in the next 6 months and Bitcoin puts in highs, then all of a sudden you'll see these companies come out and go, oh, those earnings, yeah, we're going to absolutely blow them out of the water. If same as if we go on a bull run, if we go on a bull run, then everyone gets interested back into stocks again. It's stupid, that isn't it? Like when stocks start going up, everyone's like starts getting more interested in them, rather than right now when stocks have been stagnant for so long. Like there's a lot of decent buys out there, especially in the small market cap place. But when we do start having like stocks start shooting back up again, you'll see interest start coming back in and people will start buying them again. So it's very hard to predict where they're going to go. So it was always, I think, always after when you've had this, like you had the AMC situation, like one of them as well. If one of them kind of happens again, then you'll see loads of investors come in. But you had that boom, which then sent stocks up a huge amount, and it's just a very hard area to pick. I think like Coinbase as well. Like Coinbase is like so much stupid valuation, and if we have like a boom once again, like that's going to explode as well. But it's a very volatile area, and it's a very high risk area as well, and that's what you got to take into consideration. But I thought the growth they put in was still very impressive. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Where we at? Yeah, I'll have to take a look, Jesse. So far, I've heard few people talk about this one. I can't. I have looked into it. I can't remember why I didn't buy it. No idea. Um, but I've heard a few people play it, and I think especially, I think there's been a little bit of a drop recently, hasn't there, on the share price? Don't know if that's correct. Once again, I'm talking about companies I don't know, and I don't like doing it because I might say something stupid. But I think it's had a drop. Maybe one that I should probably have a look into at some point. Um, that's a really tricky one. I would say pretty much everything apart from a few sectors, like healthcare. Healthcare is normal. Even though I have owned GWPH before and I made good money on it, that was a very big push for me. I do own Teledoc, which once again was a very big push for me. I am that's really me, like that's me pushing really out. I don't normally go into healthcare, pharmaceutical companies. I normally stay away from there. That's probably one of the big ones. I stay away from crypto and mining companies, and biotech companies. Those are probably the only companies you probably won't see me touch. So yeah. Microvast, I might have heard it a long time, a while ago, but I don't know much about it, so I can't give you too much on it. John says, hi, Jacob. Hi, John. Planet 13, definitely video on there. And by the way, I've got my gang average down. Nice. Yeah, gang's been flying at the moment. It's kind of like that dip on earnings was stupid. It was so stupid. Like, whoever's, that's the thing as well. People actually sold their gang shares at $13. People sold gang shares at $13 like 2 weeks ago. Then that's why people generally like underperform the market, and people that don't make good decisions in the stock market. People sold gang at $13 the other day. It's absolutely bonkers. But yeah, really gang's going very well. I'm very happy with how gang's going. Gang's actually at the point where I'm like, I want to make it a really big position, but at the same time I can't just because of the risk side with it. But yeah, nice one. Anyway, back on Planet 13. Yeah, could do a video on that one. I've not talked about them for a while. So Yeah, could do. Bio Nano, I've heard about it. I think it was one of those stocks that got a bit hyped up in February, and I don't think I've looked at it since then. If that's the right company, I don't know if it is. um, Are you concerned about Tattoo Chef's revenue being lower in Q2 2021 versus Q1 2022? I hold over 1K shares still Tattoo Chef, but concerned that they aren't growing quarter over quarter, especially with new stores and SKUs. Yeah, I think earnings were a little bit disappointing in Q2. If I said they were good, I'd be lying to you. They were not as good as what I thought they would be. But every so often, there will be companies that have little dips in quarter over quarter earnings. It's one of those things that you need to keep an eye on, and that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping an eye on it. Put it this way: if we have a Q3 and a Q4 where they go, it's such a long message. This it's kind of covering my face, isn't it? If they had Q3 and Q4 now, and that revenue stayed flat or started going down, then that's a time to panic, and that's probably a time where you'd see me going, "This ain't good." If we're increasing our stores and SKUs, and quarter over quarter we start going down, that would be a time for me when I would agree with you and go, "That's probably time to start panicking." It's a quarter to go. Okay, it wasn't a great quarter, but don't judge a long term investment off one quarter, because one quarter there can just be numbers which just fall awkwardly where people might have bought a big load in the last week of Q1 and then they didn't buy anything for the first 2 weeks in Q2, and that's why it's weaker. As well as that, obviously, you come into summer season, you have people eating out a lot more, and as well as people eating out a bit more, Q2 is historically the weakest quarter for Tattoo Chef. Yes, I think I'm right. Yeah, I think Q2 is the weakest quarter for Tattoo Chef, if I remember correctly. So when you take all that into consideration, one little quarter where there's a little bit of bad numbers, and I agree that I weren't happy with them, but don't judge a long term investment off one quarter. You could end up regretting that decision. But at the same time, it is worth just noting it down and go, next Q3, Q4, hopefully we see improvements. That's when I would worry. After Q3 and Q4, if we don't see too many improvements, then we'll panic. So yeah, hopefully that's a answer. Bull Investing says, "Are you worried about the competition for Tattoo Chef?" Probably not really, because there is it's such a big market and it's very early on. I'd be more worried probably when the market gets a little bit more established. But as well as that, the thing is as well is, there's going to be in this sort of industry, if you go to the supermarket and you go down the crisps aisle, you don't just see one brand. I guess you could say you just see Walkers. But if you went down the crisps aisle in the supermarket, it's one of those. It's going to be a big industry where there's going to be more than one company that is successful in it. So at the moment, I'm not too worried, because it's a start of a growing industry. As well as that, the great thing that Tattoo Chef is that it's going to have, it's going to expand a little bit past just being a frozen food company as well. So at the moment, I'm not too worried. A bit further down the line, probably 2 years down the line, I'll start being a little bit more worried about competition. If there's a new company that's kind of taking all the excitement and Tattoo Chef starts affecting Tattoo Chef's numbers, and if there's a bit more of a pricing competition start coming in, that's probably where I'd be a bit more worried. So yeah. Jesse says, what's my thoughts on Tattoo Chef's latest run? It's been good, hasn't it? It's very much like Gang. People have come in and bought that dip after earnings. I thought earnings were a massive overreaction. So yeah. But it's been a good run. I think a few institutions look like they're buying. Obviously, there's a lot of short sellers on it right now, and I think it's just the recovery from the unjustified drop from earnings, I guess. So yeah, all good. By the way, guys, check Jesse's channel out. He does really good content on Tattoo Chef, Beyond Meat, and some other plant-based foods, as the name suggests as well. Tiago says, thoughts on slowly getting rid of some losers on green days. Baba TTCF to reinforce my biggest winners, AMD, Nvidia in mode. By losers, I'm guessing you mean you are down on Baba and TTCF. Personally, for me, I would never sell them companies at a loss. That would be my rule, because without doubt, BABA and TCF will be higher than where they are right now in the next few years. So yeah, and the big thing as well is like, don't get sucked in, because I'm looking at them companies and it's like AMD, Nvidia, and InMode. I know AMD, I think AMD, I know Nvidia, and I know InMode have all been on really good runs. And just because they've gone on really good runs doesn't always mean that they will carry on going up. So yeah, I mean, some of them, I'm not saying that they are, but them companies could be now at stretched valuations, and you might see them have a pullback or a cooling off phase. Whereas the companies that are beaten down, like BABA and TTCF now, those would be the companies that you would be actually considering. Those are probably actually the better buys, because the big thing is, when I started investing in the stock market, the big things, the big investor that I learned from was Warren Buffett, and after that I started actually reading a lot of Peter Lynch after that. But Warren Buffett was the big thing that kind of just changed my mindset of like, when stocks start going up, that's when I start going, okay, is this a bit overvalued? Should I take some profit from this? When stocks start going down, those are the better opportunities, because the big thing in the stock market is, you want to be buying a company that's worth $10 at $5, and that's where you get the bigger returns from. If you're buying an AMD, for example, not saying it is, this is all just kind of talking about mindset. Let's say AMD right now, AMD might be a $10 stock, but it's valued at $10, but it's a $10 stock, and that's fair valued. Whereas you want to be looking for the companies that you're looking at a company and going, you see that share price right there? That share price that's fallen 50%, that's probably where you want to start buying that company, because that company should be worth a lot more. And that's what you want to be doing. So that's my thoughts on that one. Hopefully it was helped you out a little bit there. Jane Jones, always on the live streams. Have you looked into the company Sander clothing company with lines in Marks and Spencer's, next John Lewis as well? Their own website more ethical than Boohoo. I've not looked in it. Is that a UK? Is that a UK company? Or is it a US company? I'll write that one down. I'll actually write that down to have a look into it. So I'll have a look in that one. Thank you very much. Technically, I've actually sold my GNOG shares right now. So actually, I've gone from 3 gambling stocks down to 2. So I'm not doing too bad. Well, if you class 8 casinos, actually, I still have 3, but I don't never class that one. Yeah, so we're just going to say 2. So I still have Gang and DraftKings, and I'm happy with having them 2, because technically, Gang is a software company, whereas actually DraftKings is more of a B2C platform. So yeah, I'm happy where I'm at with them 2 right now. But that's a push for me to have 2 companies that close in the sector. I don't normally do that. I'm guessing that is probably about tattoo. No, it can't be about tattoo chef. I might go skills. I think that might be about skills. Oh, I've just skipped loads of questions. I'm really sorry. Where was I at? Leon Lewis, could I talk about Chinese IP news today and how it could affect Huya and Zainio? Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but for me, I'm not too worried about it. It's just negative news after negative news at the moment, and there's always been this, it's been like this for so many years, but it's just that it gets louder and louder and louder, and it's just to the point where, when we're going to get a break from it. I think that when we get a break from it, then we'll eventually see a lot of these Chinese stocks hopefully start rebounding. But yeah, it's just been ugly at the moment, and I mean, I personally don't know if they'll follow through with it. But the thing at the moment is, I don't see the companies that are kind of on the stock market, say your Huye's and Neos at the moment, will probably get too affected by it. But yeah, I personally don't think they will follow through with it. And I think it's only big data companies as well if they do follow through with it. But yeah, at the moment, not too worried at the moment, but I will keep an eye on it for sure. I guess that's Jess's reply to the Q1, I believe, of TTCF. Q2 of TTCF. Yeah, that's exactly my point about Boohoo. It's just something I'm kind of keeping an eye on, because I see them popping up more and more at the moment. They're actually not on the stock market at the moment either. That'd be a very interesting IPO as well. Beyond Stock says, "What's up, Jacob? Bought some more Huya today. Hold strong. Long term, I believe in China. Yeah, me too. And I think Huya should be good, and the streaming should be good, gaming should be good, esports should be good. The only little thing that I've noticed over the last few days actually is Tencent pulling a couple of ties between Douyu and Huya, and hopefully that relationship is still very strong between Huya. But it's just interesting to see if that connection just slows down a little bit. So, yeah, that's the only thing that the little kind of thing that's popped up with Huya recently that I'm keeping an eye on. But yeah, at the moment, I still believe in it. um, Hey, what's my thoughts on Amazon at the moment? It seems to be creeping up. Yeah, Amazon. I like Amazon. I think Amazon's a really good portfolio to get like like some big tech in there to break it up. I think quite often it's quite easy to go very heavy in a lot of these small market caps. I think it's a good big solid company that will just kind of. I don't think Amazon will ever do what it's done previously. Now, I mean, what is it like a 2 trillion company now? So for Amazon to keep going up, if Amazon to go up 100% would be like a 4 trillion company. So I don't think it'll be doing that like anytime soon. Like it won't be as. I don't think the share price will perform as much as it has done, say, the last kind of 5, 10 years. But as a solid play in the stock market portfolio, like a core position that kind of brings in probably a 10%, 20% every year. I think it could do it. So I guess over a 5 year period, you could see it double up, but like I said, I don't think you'll ever see them sort of returns in a 1 year if you know what I mean. But I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think one of the big catalysts for Amazon, I think everyone's kind of just sitting on that one now and going, "Are you going to do a stock split?" I think if you ever saw Amazon do a stock split, even though it has no benefit to the company in revenue or profit, people just get excited by a stock split. You look at Nvidia the other day, was it the other month? Tesla, who did it recently? Apple. They've all done it recently. People just get excited by a stock split, and it's just bonkers. And if Amazon was to do the same, if Amazon was to actually announce probably a stock split, even though I normally just invest in the companies for like a long term, 2 to 5 years, I would generally see Amazon just go bonkers on the stock chart after a stock split. So yeah, I like it. I'm a big fan. That was a long way around an answer to say that I like Amazon, but we got there. I also ordered a shirt from Shein and was really impressed with the quality. That's really interesting. I wonder what the delivery time is on them as well. I've heard good things about them. Um, yeah, I agree, Liam. Still a big fan of Baba. Um, yeah, a few people playing Ford as a bit of an EV play. It is getting interesting. I've never properly looked into it, so once again, I don't want to comment too much on a stock that I don't know too much about. But yeah, it looks like Ford are starting to catch up on the EV game. It was about time. It was about time a lot of these car companies started catching up to Tesla. Um, that's a reply to Jesse. Um, I think I covered. I think I talked about Tattoo Chef competition. I think a few minutes ago. Steve says, any thoughts on where we might start to see some movement on skills? I'm averaged down so much I've lost kind of. Yeah, no idea at the moment. We actually talked about skills a little bit earlier in the stream, Steve. So if you catch the replay, which should be up after this, I'll talk about it quite a bit on that one. But no idea. If I had a crystal ball and I could use it, and I'll let you know when it's going to go up. As always, nothing's guaranteed in the stock market in the short term. What's a realistic price target for Gang in a year's time? A year's time is really hard to predict. I mean, what happens if we have a stock market crash or, still small market caps are beating down? It's tricky to predict in a year's time. What I will say is that I see Gang going to at least $30 in the next kind of 2 to 5 years, which is 100% upside, potentially more. So that's probably where I see it in a bit of a longer term spectrum. I mean, it could do. I mean, it could go to if Gang smash numbers as they are doing. I mean, what was the last earnings? Was it like 200% revenue growth? If Gang's carry on smashing earnings as they are doing, it could do it in a year's time, and that's if small caps market caps come into favor as well. It's hard to predict. Um, I'm trying to work out which ones you guys are talking to each other in the comment section. Ryan, the Neo stock chat, or stop the Discord chat is as close as you are getting me to Neo. That's it. I won't be buying it. um, thinking about travel stocks. Um, Not at the moment, Charles, to be honest with you. Not at the moment. The one that I've only really considered recently is buying a couple more shares in Jet2. But yeah, I'm kind of like on the fence at the moment because I'm kind of like, I said it a bit earlier in the stream. I always keep thinking worst case scenario. If worst case scenario, we have another variant, if cases start picking up in the winter time when it's cold and everything like that, what are the stocks that are going to really struggle? The travel stocks, and that's that's what my little worry is about picking up a few of them. So at the moment, I'm not really buying too much travel stocks at the moment. So yeah, I might give it a couple of months and see what happens before I touch more travel stocks. But I've still got my National Express shares at the moment. I've still got my Jet2 shares. Still got my Carnival shares at the moment, which have nearly fully recovered. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of the travel stocks. Is Tattoo Chef having a dilution in shares now? The last time they diluted shares was for the warrants after this in the SPAC deal, I believe. So I don't think they've diluted shares another time yet, unless I've missed anything. Live Kieran Sports and Everything Money. I think I like them. I think they put really good content out. I really like how they have a belief of this is what we want to invest in and this is what we want to buy and we stick to it. And I think they are very good at value stocks. And I think, yeah, I like the principles. I like the stick to the principles, and I think they are very good at value stocks. Growth stocks, growth stocks maybe not as good, but yeah, I do really like the videos. I do. I think the channel is very good for kind of keep reminding you not to overpay for stuff. And I like to think that as well. It's like Cynthia just asked about Airbnb. I've just talked about it a bit earlier in the live stream. A massive fan of it, but I'd love to own it, but the valuation is just nuts, and I can't buy it. I can't buy it at the moment. But yeah, yeah, Tattoo Chef. Yeah, they probably won't dilute shares. The only reason they would dilute shares is if they acquire a company. Um, and that might happen. But yeah, I don't. I mean, what I think they've got, like, is it like 250 million in cash, and they're a 1.4 billion market cap company, I think. Um, so yeah, we've talked about this earlier. I'm not talking about it. Oh, is it 140 million they have, Jesse? Sorry, yeah, 140 million. It's still very healthy. We don't need a WhatsApp group, Lewis. We've got Discord. Get yourself on the Discord, man. um, for me, I always max out my ISA every year. That's what I do. I try and max out capital gains. I do try and tactically think about when I'm selling stuff. So yeah, I do try and tie that in as well. So those are the two things that I try and focus on. Never heard of that one, Ricky. Sorry. Never heard of it. Can't give too much on it. Steve says Oatly getting a lot of interest at the moment. Yeah, or getting interest in the moment. Yeah, I believe it had a short report come out, didn't it? Like, was it like 4 weeks ago? Was it, or something? Um, but also the very interesting thing is, like, Beyond Meat are looking to maybe get into Oatly's area a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it. I think they've just got the trade license for like Beyond Milk or something. Is it? So yeah, it's interesting. It's I don't personally think I would ever get into Oatly. even though it looks like they look like they're performing very well financially. I think, like I said, I don't know the company too well, so I might be saying stupid things again. But yeah, if Beyond Meat are kind of looking to go into Oatly's area, then I'd just be happy to hold Beyond Meat and go try to take as much market shares as you can. Thoughts on Pinterest these days? I'm still holding Pinterest. Yeah, I think I'm up 120%. I think still on Pinterest. Still not buying because I still think that they're going to have earnings where the stock just falls off a cliff, because they're going to have very hard numbers to beat. And I think a lot of analysts will focus on monthly active users, which will be awful. So I think the stock will go down probably for the next couple of earnings. At the same time, I don't want to sell because I still really like this platform for like the next 5 years. I think it's just that alternative to like the Facebook and the Instagram. And I think in the EU as well, it's very popular. So yeah, I'm still holding my shares. I'm not buying either because for me to buy Pinterest, it has to go lower. I still think Pinterest is a little bit, it's not overvalued, but it is fair valued. And while Pinterest is fair valued, I'd rather put my money into the likes of, say, a Corsair right now. So yeah, it just comes to me like, which do I see the bigger reward on? And at the moment, Pinterest I like. I think obviously I still think it's a good company because I still hold the shares, but it just comes to which do I see the bigger reward in, and I just see other stocks that have the bigger reward in than Pinterest right now. But I still like it. I think Liam, you maybe messaging someone about Bar there, so some maybe looking to get rid of Bar. Maybe it's the early question actually. That would make sense. Um, yeah, Google. Yeah, I like Google. Big fan of it. Personally, for me, it's been on a bit of a good run as most as big tech has done. But yeah, I still like Google. 100%. When you've got Google, when you've got YouTube, and you've got the monopoly that Google has, marketing is just going to go up and up and up. YouTube's just going to get popular, more and more popular as well in a platform of itself. I mean, imagine YouTube if was to IPO right now. Imagine the valuation on like YouTube. It's like the same with Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, I do like Google. It's a great company. It's one of those that I say that it's a little bit overvalued, but once again, I say in the next 5 years, is Google going to be higher? It's going to be higher. So you probably say that Google's still a buy. But personally, for me, it's one of those that I'd be more comfortable buying Google if it had like a bit of like a year of flatlining on the share price and just let that valuation catch up a little bit. Or if it had like a 20% dip, that's where I'd personally be more interested into Google. But yeah, it's a great company. It's a great company. I always say, and it's something that I probably should say more, and I never do say. I used to say it a lot, but I don't as much. For me, in a stock market portfolio, the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, Netflix. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not actually a huge fan on Netflix personally. I would actually choose Disney over Netflix, but that's just me. Them sort of companies, I would always say to have two of them in your portfolio, and you can't go wrong because they're all solid companies. And I would say two of them in your portfolio, you'll do well. Obviously I've had Microsoft for a good 5 years, I think, in my portfolio, and it's just performed amazing. I've just held the shares, and I probably will hold the shares. Facebook I've had for I don't know how long I've held Facebook now. I believe I've held Facebook for probably 3 years, I believe now. Just performing so well. It's one of those companies that you just buy, lock up, ignore, and in the background, just maybe not over a week, maybe not over a month, maybe not even over half a year, but over the longer term, you just see them ticking up in the background. They're really good, solid portfolio holders. And I'd recommend just having two of them in the portfolio. And yeah, yeah, they're really solid companies. And like I say, I've always had Microsoft, Facebook in mind. Obviously, I've got Disney as well now, which I think Disney's a better with Disney Plus and the parks. I personally think Disney's a better buy than Netflix. So yeah, yeah. And Liam makes good, like I said earlier, YouTube is just unreal on its own. And yeah, Liam once again. I would like to say you're just typing in what I've just said, but you've actually put this in before me. um, I think I've heard about this one, but yeah, a lot of these EV companies I'm not a big fan of until they have a proven product for me personally. Oh, I've jumped past a few questions. Sorry, I don't want to miss anyone's. Max says, "Do I keep an effort to keep my portfolio diversified?" 100%. Yeah. I'm on the Patreon. If any of you guys are on the Patreon, some of you might not be on the Patreon, but if you are on the Patreon, I just put a video out on there which was half an hour long, which was yesterday. So do go check that one out. And it was about diversifying a portfolio and what I try and do with a portfolio that will probably be a better answer than what I could put out here on this YouTube video. But I do try and keep a diverse portfolio. Try have big tech. Try have a bit of small market caps. I try do value and dividend plays. Value stocks have been very difficult at the moment because they have been trading quite high. Big tech as well, a lot of them at high valuations. So not been really being able to buy too much of them at the moment. I've been more buying, small market caps at the moment. And I try to do some dividend stocks, but not really found too many that interest me at the moment. I was having a look at like Walgreens and Intel actually the other day, but it didn't really go anywhere. But I have been recently been thinking I want to get another dividend stock in the portfolio. Um, don't know that one myself, Liam. What do you think my portfolio percent return will be in 1 year? I always try to go for 20%, Ben. That's always my target every year. If I can get a 20% return every year, I'm happy. um, Rush Street Capital, is that this back, Charlie? I know it, but it's just not clicking up here. Talked about Rolls Royce a bit earlier, Sam. So when this video goes back up, catch the replay. Yeah, potentially, potentially. I've not done for a while. Not done for a while. I don't know if I skipped someone there. Sorry if I skipped someone. I'm trying to scroll right time on these questions. Um, yeah, Jobby looks okay, but I still think he hangs better than them. Yeah, talked about skills a little bit earlier. So check the replay when it goes up. Um, uh, oh, anything by Peter Lynch is pretty good. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of videos on YouTube of Warren Buffett and go through a few of them interviews. They're really good about patience and everything like that. Um, what price would be happy to exit eToro? I'd probably happy to take kind of like a 30% gain on that one. That'd probably actually be where I would be quite happy. I'm not really too bothered about holding it for the long term, to be fair. We'd all rather be at the pub, wouldn't we? Stocks and Sharing says, do you think any of the big US banks will jump into the fintech space and innovate, or do you think the likes of Square, SoFi will ultimately have the last laugh? That's a great question. It's a good question. Um, I think they will try. I think it's one of those where it's probably just too late for a lot of them. But I think they will try. I think that as well as that, I think that the likes of Square have got the jump on them a bit too early as well, which will make it a little bit harder. I think actually Square as well. Square have the license, I believe, for actually being a bank right now as well. So I think some will try. Yeah, that's pretty much what you'd be looking at, Liam. Yeah. I think JP Morgan is probably normally one of the best banks to be looking at. Um, I'm trying to remember now. I've not looked into banks for like 2 years, so I'm trying to just go through like what I remember from 2 years ago. From 2 years ago, I think I remember JP Morgan being the best. I think Morgan's was it Morgan Stanley or was it Bank of America? One of them two might have been number two on the list. Um, I think Wells Fargo was the only one that was like, that's probably the one not to invest in. I can't remember though. I'm going 2 years back here. It's Trace I need to look into. It's on my list. Dave Sheffield says, "What would be my favorite stock to buy now?" Oh, good question. The ones that I'm probably buying now is obviously on the UK front is Hotel Chocolate, Cake Box, and probably Hollywood Bowl. The US front, I'm obviously buying a lot of Chinese stocks because they're beaten down at the moment, the likes of Baba, and also a lot of the small market caps like your Tattooed Chef, your Corsair, for example. Those are ones that I've been buying. Um, yeah, that's what I'm mostly focusing at the moment. Neo, I like personally. For me, I wouldn't. It's not for me to own it, but once again, you asked me in the next 5 years, will Neo be higher? I think it will be. Oh no, I've just skipped past the questions. I was just going to click on, that's where I am. Here we go. Sorry about that. The big thing as well is that I actually saw the other day was they did a video on Pinterest and they went, and on the Tattoo Chef video, they went, oh, we don't need to do DD in any company. And they did a video on Pinterest. And on the video on Pinterest, they went, oh, it was like a blind look into the company. And they had a look and they went, oh yeah, it's worth $10. And they said the company went, oh, it's Pinterest. And then when they said that, I said, oh yeah, it's probably worth, if it was 25, I'd consider it. And it was like, hold on. So we've gone from $10 to $25, and the only thing changed is that you knew what the company was. And it's like that's the little thing of like DD looking into a company. That little bit of DD can kind of make a difference of how bullish you are on a company and what they have down the further down the line. So yeah. Oh, Matt, this is a tricky question. what I what I hope in mode will be is $300 in the next 5 years. That's what I think. However, I would say it's at least going to be a $200 stock, but I do think it could get to 300. So yeah, that's last time I run numbers on it. That's where I was at. With anything, it's very hard to predict, but it depends as well if you have a bull or bear stock market. So yeah, yeah, yeah. You only comparing to one. Yeah. Um, don't really get interested in gold, crypto. Yeah. Wheatbread I actually looked into. You know what? It's on my list. You know what, Josh? I'm gonna add that onto my list to look back into that one. I used to own it. Sold it a while ago. Oh, I missed the questions again. Where are we at? Talked a bit about a bit earlier, Oliver. So yeah, watch the stream when it goes back up, and you'll catch my reply on that one. Mike, I've been buying it on 2212. You can't get it in your ISA though, so just be aware of that. No, for me, Matt, that's Chinese stocks. There's still a little bit of risk there. Even me personally, being ultra bullish on Chinese stocks, I don't want them to make too much of my portfolio because this negativity still carries on. You end up having to average down on 3, 4, 5 stocks. So I want to be very careful. I don't want Chinese stocks to be a big part of the portfolio, but it's tempting in it. There's a lot, a lot down at the moment. Ride for me, there's just too many problems for me to even touch that one. Oh, it's a tricky question, Alex. Tricky question. Um, Knowing what we know now, the automatic answer would be to kind of look at what happened previously and start kind of focusing on them stocks would be what you'd try and consider, I guess. So yeah. Can I block? Hey, there we go. I've not heard of that one. I'll have a look into it. I'll write that ticker symbol down. Not heard of it though, so I can't say too much on it. Not heard of biotech. Not heard of that one. Not heard a lot of this one either. I'm getting a lot of these. A lot of these are kind of like healthcare kind of companies, or biotech kind of companies. So yeah, I don't really look into that sort of industries in the stock market, so it's probably why I've not heard of them too much. Well, it depends which ones. It depends which stocks would have the bigger corrections, Liam. If the stock market crashed 30%, it would be looking at which companies have dropped the most and had a bigger overreaction. But my big answer, well, my thought would originally be look at the companies that don't dip that much but are on a big massive dip. So if you give me the likes of a Facebook, for example, and you give me Facebook back at $200 or something like that would be very interesting to me. So yeah, that's probably what I'd try and focus on. Benefits of using different platforms. Depends, one platform you might prefer. You might be able to get different stocks on a different platform. Obviously, you can split a bit more protection as well on your money. So yeah. Don't use tempting, but obviously I own here, so yeah. Would you use Freetrade or stake as a main platform on trading 212? Freetrade because you get your ISA. Big thing you want to do if you start investing and you're from the UK, you want to be maxing your ISA out first. So yeah, that's what you'll be doing. Anyway, I am pretty much nearly caught up on questions, and we're an hour in, and I was only going to do half an hour to 45 minutes. So yeah, I'll call it there. Sorry if there's any more questions that I missed out on, but I think we're pretty much there now, caught up anyway. But anyway, thank you so much for you guys that did join the live stream instead of having something else fun on a Friday night. Hopefully, there was a few good answers there, and maybe we won't leave it as long as last time. I can't even remember last time we did a live stream. If it might have been like over 6 months ago. So yeah, won't leave it as long. But yeah, thanks for watching anyway. Before you click off, if you can hit the like button, that'd be absolutely amazing. And I'll see you maybe on tomorrow's video if I can get one done.